Welcome back to RBR, guys, and say hello to the first ever fully electric 5 Series and the most powerful one that you can currently have at almost 600 brake horsepower. It's the i5 M60, essentially an electric version of the M5, or as close as we are currently going to get. And it's been an amazing 8 generations of 5 Series leading up to this point where you can now have either fully electric 5 Series that look like this, or just go for the hybrid or combustion version that look exactly the same. BMW taking this two-pronged approach of having the combustion and the electric cars look identical, so buyers like you and me who love the past aren't alienated by this new future. And this M60 promises to be their most dynamic electric car so far. Like I said, almost 600 brake horsepower. It looks amazing and I can't wait to drive it, but does it drive like a fiver? It really has to. It can't lose that identity having gained the weight of the electric system. I've got high hopes for it, but equally, I'm really apprehensive. Let's see what it's like today as we check out this, the brand new BMW i5 M60. Today's episode is sponsored by The Ridge, my favorite wallet company, who have come out with one of my favorite colors, which is the color of our channel, and that's Hyper Lime in this awesome new Hyper Lime collection. I'm so excited about this because this is literally the RBR channel colors. Look at this. It's the same beautiful aluminium wallet, but powder coated in this amazing Hyper Lime color, which I think is so synonymous with performance as well, which is why we used it at RBR, to be fair. And just like your normal Ridge wallet, you can fit up to 12 cards in a really slim way. It's got RFID blocking technology, so no one can steal your money. It comes with replaceable screws and elastic, and it has a lifetime warranty as well. I've used them for years now, as you guys know. They're kind of my go-to. This is the leather one that I have. In addition to that lovely wallet in the same Hyper Lime, we've got the key holder as well, which again, the same concept, fitting a large number of keys in a small unit to keep things nice and compact. We've got the awesome Bolt action pen, which is so satisfying to use. And again, that's finished in the Hyper Lime. And this lovely bottle as well. Again, all a really nice collection. And finally, I'm gonna wear this so you guys can amuse yourselves. There you go. What a tool I am. And if that's a little out there for you, they've just started this amazing new pastel color range as well, which is a little bit more subtle and could be a nice gift as well. So guys, as always, as RBR viewers, with our regular sponsor, you will get a discount, and that is using the code RBR, and you'll get 10% off. Or go to theridge.com/RBR and you will get 10% off. Absolutely love it. Now back to the episode. So guys, there's your new M60. What a stunning, essentially electric M5. Look at the horsepower figures, insane. But trust me, as Mr. AMG, to turn up to an all-electric BMW showcase event in an 800 horsepower all-combustion Mercedes AMG. But look, I wouldn't be me if I didn't do things like this, right? And they get the irony at BMW M and BMW UK as well. And it looks great. Look, it's the same color as our M60 as well. So, you know, we're matching. This is great. Anyway, on to this. So guys, I think it's fair to say that when you look at each brand has like a halo car. It might not be the most expensive car in the brand, but it's certainly the one that's loved the most by everybody. And I reckon the 5 Series is that car for BMW. It's, over the history, always been the one that's been considered the driver's car. It's always been the most sporty saloon. You know, these are cars that have really like towed the entirety of BMW along with them. And that's a big burden to carry for this totally new generation of 5 Series, which is a completely different form of propulsion. It's fully electric, at least in some of its versions. So first, quickly, I want to remind you guys what is under the skin, as I always do, typical RBR style. We're going to have a look at what components make this electric i5 M60 what it is. And it starts with the platform, which like the new 7 Series has been reworked versus the old carbon one. So this is the CLAR VE platform, and it uses a material mix of steel, aluminium and titanium to make it more rigid, you know, a bit lighter, a good start off basis for the entirety of the car. In terms of the car itself, it's grown in length by 9 centimeters. The width has increased as well versus the previous car, and I think you can just see that. And that width has increased by about 3.5 centimeters, and it gives the car some really nice bulk. We'll get onto design in a minute. And then we come to the actual electric drivetrain here. Let's talk about this. The first thing is, of course, the electric motors. In the M60, we get 2. which is unlike our base level model, which is rear wheel drive. And this is the 5th generation of BMW's new electric motors, and it's a really clever one. Instead of being permanently synchronous electric motors like the rivals, these are electrically excited electric motors that don't use any rare earths. Instead, they are excited electrically, as the name says, and it's a really clever unit that combines your electric motor, power electronics, and the transmission all neatly into one unit. And essentially, ignoring all the nerdy stuff, what that helps do is give you more power output versus a traditionally, a same size traditional motor, which is really good going. And then of course you have the battery, which in this is an 82 kilowatt approximate size version, which is nice. It's not as big as a 100 kilowatt one that you normally find in a car of this size in the rivals. So hopefully, keep the weight a little bit down versus them. And in your top level M60, what that ends up giving you is a massive 590 odd brake horsepower, 820 Newton meters on the launch control. And again on launch control, a 0 to 60 of 3.8 seconds, which is insane. This sounds like M5 numbers in this electric car, which of course it needs because the rivals are bloody quick as well. Now, of course, as with all EVs, fast charging comes as standard, so you can get 156 kilometers within just 10 minutes. And speaking of range, this M60 is estimated to do around about 315 miles, which sounds a lot to me because when you look at rivals like the Taycan Turbo, which is probably an apt comparison, or the EQE53, it's way less at kind of 220 if you're lucky. And we will see that as we go on the drive now, because we've got a fully charged car. I want to see what the range is quoting us on this. If it is close to that, then that is a massive win versus the rivals, because it's got a smaller battery than those other cars. And if it's doing that kind of range, then that's amazing. Now let's talk about the other things under the skin, because dynamics is so important for a BMW driver. These are the ultimate driving machines. So what comes immediately standard in this is we have the wheel slip limiter much closer to the actuator for quicker reaction times. We also have sport steering, of course, as standard. We've got integral steering and rear wheel steer up to 2.5 degrees as well. And we've got on this car an additional option around about £3,000 of the M Sport Adaptive Pro suspension, which comes with electronic adaptive dampers and anti-roll stabilization. And I can't stress how important this is. It may sound like a load of nerdy nonsense, but that anti-roll stabilization is the difference between making a heavy car boring and bulky and like a boat, and making it like a really, really dynamic car. And I've seen it again and again with heavy hybrids recently. The ones that have the anti-roll stabilization handle incredibly well. So I'm glad that the M60 has it, and I've got high hopes that it's going to handle really well because of that. Now, if you're not looking at spending over 100 grand on an i5, there is another option. There's the eDrive 40, which, as I mentioned, rear wheel drive, 380 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 around about 6 seconds, which is not bad, and a massive quoted range of 580 plus kilometers. That's a car that I'm going to test soon. Sounds really interesting, looks very similar with the M Sport package. Could be potentially the ultimate daily EV for us petrol heads who love a traditional looking EV, but with the benefits of all of that world. I'm excited about trying that out. Now, of course, we keep talking about this is like an electric M5, etc., but that's really, the M5 is the M5, and the M5 is coming. It's coming in saloon and it's coming in wagon, as they keep teasing us. And I think a similar setup then to what we saw in the XM. So we'll have the V8, which is that lovely, lovely updated now version of the V8, and that will be linked then to their 8-speed and a large permanently synchronous electric motor, probably producing crazy horsepower figures of over 700 brake horsepower. It's likely to be 2.5-ish tons as well. How well BMW are able to handle the weight remains to be seen. So I'm really excited about it, but I'm really hesitant as well. But I think today's drive of the M60 is going to give us a really good idea of how well they can handle a weighted 5 Series of this type. So let's not delay anymore. Now let's look at the car's design, and I want to start on the rear actually, because I think that's probably the most controversial part of the new 5 Series design, even in a lovely colour like this frozen black here today. Yeah, I totally get it. The rear bulk is quite significant and the lights are quite slim, which is what I think throws people off a little bit. This spec probably doesn't help that because it's all uniform. When you have a colour, then you have a breakup between the gloss black diffuser and your main body coloured area. But it still doesn't look that bad. You know what? When you get some light on it, in the wild, which is the best time to kind of see what a car looks like, then it doesn't look that bad because it has some strong muscle. And BMW adding more lines these days, unlike Mercedes, who are removing lines on their cars and making them more round shape. Like that direct rear look, to me, I think that's pretty stunning. And imagine then what an M5 is going to look like with even more bulk, you know, coming out of these arches, etc. But that's good. That's a really good looking EV to me. I look at that, I don't think EV when I'm staring at that. I just think, all right, it's a new BMW, albeit a bit controversial in its design, but it's definitely a BMW. For example, when you get the combustion car, you won't see any pipes at the bottom here either. It will look exactly the same as this. The only difference that you end up having is that i5 badge up here, and then whenever you have the BMW logo, it has the electric blue around the logo, be it inside the car or outside the car, and that's your only differentiator. In reality, in the wild, I do like the lights, especially when they're lit up like this. They're very futuristic. I think we will get used to them. I mean, I know we keep saying that with BMW, you're going to get used to it, you're going to get used to it. But it does happen over time. You see less and less people complaining about the 2 Series and the M3 now than you did before. And in fact, people actually buying them in droves. Now, one thing I love about the lights, watch that. You will see when we go into reverse that you get a little light at the bottom here, which is so cool. It's like the Formula 1 cars, we have the little light, and you know, people mod them on their cars and it looks awful. That's a nice little subtle reversing light. I really like that. Nice little touch that they added into this. Now the M60 gets small spoiler lip here, which is finished in gloss black. Your lower diffuser is gloss black as well. The wheels are a really, really nice design. I think they're still aero optimized, but got a lot going on for them. You know, there's a lot of cuts, there's a lot of grooves. You've got the lovely two-tone of the polish finish and the gloss black as well. This car has the red calipers, which come as standard on the M60. Of course, you've got the 5er written on the C-pillar. I don't like that. I think there's too much bulk going on here. If this finished off here, it would probably look better and make that particular part of the rear quarter look less alien to us. And of course, the other thing we're still not used to, even though it's been around for a few years, are the door handles, which are flush, which we're still getting our head around, both in BMW and in Mini. But the side is nice. Look, it's a traditional saloon shape, unlike your usual EVs. I really like the shape of it. I mean, yeah, well, look, we're just not used to these. But they are very, you know, in terms of flush door handles, so much better than the horrible Mercedes ones and the Porsche ones that eat your hands. You know, that is a comfortable to use door handle. I like that. I like that a lot. Then we come around the front, which is very, very, very modern BMW. Particularly the grille and the lights, which iconic glow on the grille, which of course comes standard in our M60 and then the high level versions of the M Sport cars. But I like that front. I like it. It's wide, it's angular, you've got a lot going on to give it a lot of character. I don't think the front gets enough appreciation in that sense. And I like the lights, which to me just scream E60. And I said that the first time I saw it in the studio shoot, and it looks even better in person, I think. This new light design, you're going to see this come across on the new M3 facelift from what I can see in spy shots, and all the new BMWs having this kind of, almost looks like 2 arrows pointing that way. It's a nice update of the classic kind of light configuration, and of course iconic glow coming across on all of the cars. What I love that's also coming on all the cars is the really strong bonnet. Very, very reminiscent of M3, XM, etc., where you've got this kind of cut that leads from the kidney grille and goes back. And I really like that, especially in the frozen colours. You can really, really appreciate it. Look at that. That does look very, very good. 3/4 view is quite flattering as well. Again, very muscular. You can really see the lines in the frozen car. Lots of cuts again. You can get M Performance parts to get an extra lip at the bottom as well to make it a bit more exciting. Sorry, that is very distracting, isn't it? But how could I not turn up to a BMW electric event but in that, right? So yeah, I like that. I think this front 3/4 is probably my favourite look of the car. That really just shows just how traditional BMW saloon this looks. Still not sold on that rear quarter, but it's so much better than its rivals, you know, like way ahead of them. Now let's jump in the i5 quickly and show you the interior. Good thing is today we've got quite a standard looking one, which is your black interior with M Sport details, and it gives you a good idea of what the 5er will look like in most cases in terms of what you'll find spec'd out there. And I think it's really handsome. I think it's It's digital, but to a point, and it's got a nice dashboard structure, still pointed towards the driver, which is classic BMW. The seats look fantastic, really nicely trimmed as well in the M60. Little details like your M Sport seat belts. The new steering wheel is incredible, and we'll get onto that in a minute. And of course the light bar that flows around the car, etc. We'll get into all that in a minute. Rear as well, copious amounts of space. Loads and loads of space. Massive panoramic roof spec on this car as well. Lots of light coming in. It's a nice interior. Then we head over and check out the boot. EV boot's usually quite restrictive, but it's nice and big here in the i5 because this was built from ground up as an EV. They can kind of make better decisions when it comes to packaging, and that is a decent sized boot. Now guys, as we hop in the M60, you do get a nice little BMW i intro screen, and this is your key. Don't be afraid of the chunkiness of it. It is mainly the cover that's on it, which is this M cover. Right now, I've done a deep dive on the 5 Series interior in my launch video, which was done in that studio with a lovely metallic red car. So there's a link of that down below if you want to see a deep dive of this new system and the interactions with the light bar, etc., etc. For now, I'm just going to focus on what makes the M version special. And to do that, we are first going to go into My Modes, and we're going to select Sport. And then you'll see the ambience of our car changes with what I call the soul of the car going into BMW M colours, which is great. And then you turn the car on and you get the Hans Zimmer iconic sounds, which you have start and ending sounds, which is really good, nice and safe for EVs, but exciting as well that you've turned your car on. And that is the case with all these different modes that you have here. For example, if we switch into personal, where again everything changes, but you still have the M colours because it's the M60. So you have an ending sound and a start-up sound. But though those start-up sounds and ending sounds were the same, when you're driving, they are vastly different depending on which of these My Mode categories we choose. And I will do some of them as we're driving now. The other side of it is, because this is the M60, you can actually change some of the settings here. It's a bit limited, it's not quite like your full fat M cars, but it's nice that you get the option of a lot of these, which you don't get in other cars which are i-based. For example, this one is really quite cool. When you go into the sport mode, the seats hug you at the point that you choose the mode, which is really cool because it's like you get this warning like, I'm hugging you, we're about to go really fast, and I thought that was really awesome. Apart from that, you do get a load of screens in here, and I'll show you some of the more interesting ones like AR, etc. while we're driving. But lots of customizability now in the BMW driver zone screens as well, which is nice to see because this is really important. It's good to be able to individualize that element for what the driver wants to see at the time. I love the new steering wheel. I think this is fantastic. It's so much less bulky than the previous one. It's got some wonderful details in here as well. And it's got this great thing, which I love in this car, called the M Boost button. You're going to love this. It is brilliant in reality when you're using it. So 2 packages that this car has that you should know about. One is the technology package, which gives you the driving assistance, which is, I think, quite important for EVs. So it has that. We get the heads-up display and parking assistant come with that as well. And we also have the comfort package, which if we click into here, has all of your heated seats for your front and your rear, along with comfort access of your door handles, electric boot lid, etc., etc. So some important options to get on this car. And we have the all-important panoramic roof to give us some nice light in here. So that's that. We are now going to head out, but not from here, from a very special looking area inside this building. Right guys, so we are in this extremely cool setup here where the car is almost like on a launch pad, and we're surrounded by these kind of, I love the lights here. It's like you're almost in some kind of Star Wars hangar, and the i5 looks amazing here. So now let's jump in the M60 and head out for a drive. And here we go. What a super cool looking little hall that they've arranged here. And exiting the Death Star, let's do this. And that's the first thing I really love about electric BMWs. The Hans Zimmer iconic sounds just really give an emotional connection to the car immediately. Listen to that. That is so cool. And it's not like you're mimicking a combustion engine. It's got its own sound, which is why they went to the trouble of getting him to do it. This sounds, oh my God, this car is fast. So now the first thing you need to do in one of these newer BMW electric cars, if you want to drive them for more performance, is to adjust a few of the settings. And the first one is something called adaptive driving. And you've got to go into drivetrain and chassis and change this. What it does, when you leave it on adaptive, it will brake for you when a car's in front, it will brake for you based on navigation, for example, approaching a roundabout, etc., etc., which is nice when you're dailying, but when you want to drive faster like we are today, it's not exactly the most useful thing because it nannies you too much. There's that, and there's something that comes standard in this car, which is speed limit warning, because often the cameras just get it wrong and that's not the speed limit and it should be higher, and you just get this silly beep all the time. So what am I looking for in the i5 M60? I'm looking for a dynamic EV. I'm looking for one that can destroy an EQS 53 essentially, one that can stand head to head with a Taycan, but one that still has the daily ability of a 5 Series saloon. So basically I kind of want my cake and I want to eat it as well, but historically the 5 Series that would have sat at this level could do that anyway, so I don't think I'm asking too much. The speed, oh my goodness, it is flipping fast. We've been talking about it being like an electric M5 on paper, and in reality, flipping hell is it fast. Of course it's Xdrive, so all the traction in the world. Sorry, I keep breathing in and out because it's literally taking my breath. It is very fast, it's very fast. And to test just how fast it is, I think we need to start, as we always do, with a combustion performance car with a launch control. So let's do a launch, let's see what this car is going to do. Quoted at 3.8, I'm excited to see it. Launch control active. Wow, 3.48 seconds, and boy does it take your breath away, this thing. That's at least a 0.3 betterment on the official figures, and it's not quite M5, which is 3.2, and neither should it be because it's not a full M car, but so fast. But I tell you what, it's not as fast as when you're rolling and you push this wonderful paddle here. Now we have a little shifting paddle here, which is called the M boost button, and it does exactly what you imagine it would do. It gives you full attack power when you press this with a timer. Oh! Wow! Seriously takes your breath away. I don't think I've driven any M performance car, combustion or otherwise, that's made me feel the way that this car does. When it comes to pure speed, it is mental. But it's so nice to have that as an analog shifter rather than, you know, a button or something silly that you can pull and get that crazy amount of power. You know, it kind of endears you to the car. So I do like that a lot. Then we come on to dynamism. The steering, well, the body roll, first of all, the body control rather. As I suspected, fantastic on a heavier car. From what I can see immediately, it's already kind of hiding the weight of the car, that I don't feel like I'm driving a massive tank, which was one of the biggest complaints I had when I lived with the EQE53 for a while, is that you just could not hide the weight of that car. Whereas this, it just feels so much lighter and pretty nimble, and give me similar kind of feelings to like I get when I'm driving my M3 Touring fast. Obviously nowhere near as dynamic as that car, being so much lighter, but you know, not bad at all. But I like the feeling of driving fast. That's what I'm getting to. I don't like normally doing dynamic stuff in these heavy EVs. They make you queasy without the anti-roll stabilization. This feels good. Of course, having rear wheel steering so helpful with a car that's grown larger and longer, particularly in your smaller turns. All of these systems, the anti-roll, the rear wheel steer, they're so deceptive in hiding the larger size of the car and the larger weight of the car. And when you start to drive these heavier hybrids and these EVs, you begin to realize just how necessary these systems are. So because of those systems, I do get a lot of confidence driving this fast. The only thing that kind of numbs my confidence is the numbness of the steering feel. It's just not as, it doesn't firm up enough. And the steering feel is just a bit too wishy-washy for me. You do get used to it, as always with the Xdrive BMWs, driving faster, and the more you drive the car, you get used to how and what the wheels are doing, but it's nowhere near, you know, proper full M3, M5 confidence inspiring steering. But like I said, those other systems help so much in just gliding you along exactly where you want to go. And that's really the only complaint I have dynamically for a large EV. I think otherwise it feels really dynamic and it fills you with confidence, and you do want to drive it fast. And for me, it's all about how you feel as a driver. If I'm feeling that way, that I do like driving fast in this, then we're on to a winner. So fantastic speed, really good handling, would prefer a bit sharper steering, but there's room for, I think, an even higher electric M model, which I hope they do, because this is a really good basis. I love the fact that it feels light on its feet. I really do love that fact. Now I'm going to shift things a little bit into a more comfortable setting. Now the weird thing about the expressive mode, as I showed you in i7, it's just got the weirdest sound. I really don't like it, it's strange. So I'm going to instead, we're going to go, feels like someone's tooting my horn here. We're going to instead go into digital art, which is one of my favorites, because I love the purple theme, and it just looks totally different to the other ones. And it's also got a nice sound as well, actually. So driving this car in a more comfortable manner, we've got the adaptive pro suspension here. That's not going to make the car harder. If anything, it increases its breadth of ability on the comfort side, because you've got those electronic dampers, you've got the anti-roll stabilization, which not only makes the car more dynamic, but also makes it more comfortable. And you find that when you're driving on our crappy UK country roads, that it just kind of feels like the 7 Series in the best of ways. And you guys know I love the 7 Series. I think it knocks spots off the EQS, destroyed it utterly, and absolutely keeps up with the S-Class, if not bettering it in many ways. And the 5, as we suspected, so close to that. So close. It's basically a reduced 7 Series. I mean, it's so much value for money in that sense when you look at it through that lens, and I hope the eDrive 40 is like that as well. Because what a case for that car. Way under 100k, but having so much of what makes the 7 great, including the whole light bar and all the great luxury of that car. You know, then you can begin to take advantage of the EV side of it. You know, turn on the adaptive driving, let it brake for you when a car's in front, let it brake for you when a roundabout's coming, or better yet, you can push down on our little gear selector here, and it will go into one pedal driving mode. So look, it's braking itself now. I don't need to touch the brake. You just push the accelerator, come off it, and it'll regenerate energy and brake for you at the same time, which again is a great benefit of these EVs. It's something to get used to while doing, but it's nice to have that. Well, like our car today, if you're on a motorway, you can turn on the self-driving feature and let the car literally just drive itself. The other daily element of the M60 specifically is the range. Being at least 10 to 20% more than its rivals, having 250 rather than 220 or 210 is a significant amount. It again gives it top spot versus EQS 53 versus Taycan in that regard, that you're just getting a lot more range than those cars are, despite having larger batteries in those. Is it enough for your daily needs? I think it is. I owned a Taycan Cross Turismo, which, like I said, during this time of year would give me at best 220, probably 200 miles range, and I was absolutely fine with it. Charging at home, it was absolutely okay. 250 is like, bloody hell, that's fantastic. Another nice mode in here is personal, which is a nice mix. It's a nice kind of comfort mode, but you get some amazing screens in here for your digital screen in front. For example, this AR screen, which shows you the road in front of you and helps you with driving assistance features like cars that are coming in front, lane changing when you're doing self-driving, and just having that. It's a really high resolution screen at a good rate as well, as I can show you here. It looks great, and so all these modes serving their own purpose, the heads up looking great as well. All of these things there to help you with your daily driving, and then when you want to go crazy, when you want to dial things up to 11, sports response button, and all 600 horsepower is available at the flick, literally, of a switch. One thing I will say though, because it's almost like a reduced i7, it's so cosseting, and it's got the whole EV thing, so it's super efficient in terms of power delivery, etc. And you kind of waft along when you're driving comfortably. It doesn't feel like a traditional 5er. It hasn't got that edge to it. You don't feel like you're feeling every grain of the road. You're kind of protected from all of that, and you very much feel that this is a very dynamic and a very fast and very comfortable EV, but an EV, albeit. So I think this car has matched my expectations of where I thought it was going to be dynamically. It is really good dynamically for such a big and heavy car, and it's exceeding them in terms of emotion. Just the pure speed, You know, this M boost button and the sound, the Hans Zimmer sound, all of that paired with the wonderful spec of this car just really works for me. Beyond the M5, what I really can't wait to see is that all-electric M4 that they've teased with one motor per wheel. That's going to be a beast. But as for this, if you're looking for a mid-level, crazy performance EV that looks like a normal car, you cannot go wrong with the M60. I've really enjoyed it. Guys, if you've enjoyed this episode of RBI, as always, please do like and subscribe. Hugely appreciated. I'm going to do my favorite thing in this car, which is to hit the M boost button and get all the power. See you guys next time.